Good morning. Uh, it's maybe not morning for you where you live. I have listener all over the world, so uh, my time maybe is not your time, and your time is not my time, and this time is not God's time because God is not time. And it was I had to record a little things for you to think about, to pondering on, and it uh, is this that I wait for. I have waiting for 22 years since that day God come to my home and talked to me in August 2000, and I have waiting for something to happen of, from the world and the churches and all the religions groups, and I have tried to on Facebook. I have collected since the start. I started on Facebook 2007, and I collected people that write books. That was in 2007. That what we could do, and recording videos, of course. So I collected many that have with movies and books to do, and tried that they should be interested of my life story. But it have never coming anyone that want to do it, and I have told them that I don't need any money. You can get all the money from the books when selling the books. Those money is going to you. I don't need that. You get it paid in that way. I can't pay you for to write the books, because it's gonna be at least 2 books, and I can't pay you for writing the books, but you get money from when selling the books. All the money is going to you. That I have told them, but no one have wanted to write a book, and I understood it because it was so against their own belief. So they didn't want it because they want to write Christian books about Jesus as God. So I didn't had Jesus as God from the start. I asked God if that he should give me a sign or tell me if Jesus was God, and he never told me. He's never told me that Jesus was God. So I was not in this that Jesus was God, and that have make it harder for me to get help to write a book. And now do I hope that someone somewhere are interested to do either a documentary, but then also a movie can be okay, because that they say this is a movie and it's from real life, they can say, And movies, in movies they want to have some exciting things, the interesting things that catch people. But I have that in my whole life many times. And so it doesn't need to be something made up things in the movie. So that's good also with movies. And I hope, and then I was thinking about this, that about it's only, I wrote it on Facebook like in the church. It doesn't matter how many people there is in the church. It's about the who have the right heart, who want to know more, to come closer to God, who is willing. Those that I am thinking about those laying under the table in heaven, and they ask who, and then I come to my mind about this. I have told you in some episode about when I was in the hotel, that the police have taken me to a hotel when a pastor was on his way to kill me, and I escaped with help from the police. And it was like an organization that help women that have been beaten up, and they gave me 3-4 nights at the hotel. And I was in Franklin in Virginia, and I didn't have a car. I didn't have anyone that I knew that could drive me to Virginia Beach or a big city, so I could get help. And in Franklin there was not much help. I asked the Salvation Army, but the whole time Salvation Army they were not nice to me the whole time when I needed help. So I was to Franklin, but they gave me only a New Testament book, a soft book to read. That was the only help they had for me. So, but I was laying there and was scared because it was my last night at the hotel, and I was wondering what should I do in the morning? What should I do next day? And because I have no money, and I don't know where there is a bus either if I can get some money, and I was so worried. What should I do tomorrow when the hotel room is over? And in the dark night, I wake up because it was a bright light in the room, and inside that light, it was only one spot that it was a great light. It was like a pipe coming out from the ceiling, and inside that light that was so bright so I couldn't see anything inside it, there come a voice, and the voice said to me that you should go to a church. The voice say, and I sat up in the bed and ask this voice that I recognize was the voice of God that have been spoken to me 1 year earlier, and so I recognized that voice, and I asked him, "What church should I go to?" I didn't know anything about the churches in that time, and God answered me, "I will show you." And then I say to God, "What should I tell them?" And God answered me again the same thing. "I will show you," he say. And then in the morning in the hotel room, I was thinking that those hotel rooms all over the world, they have a Bible in the drawer or in the office desk, a Gideon Bible. Mostly hotel room have it. So I looked for it, and there was a Gideon Bible. And then I have a telephone book, because it was in the time when we have telephones that we could find. and I only put a finger inside that telephone book. I didn't look in the telephone book. I only placed a finger in the closed telephone books, and there was the name of the church, and the name was the Rose of Sharon, and that Rose of Sharon, that's what they assume. They think that when Jesus was on the cross and the bleeding, when he dropped the blood, there was flowers under the cross, white flowers under the cross, and when it dropped on these flowers, they turned to be red, and that's a Rose of Sharon. So, and then I took this Gideon Bible and put a finger again inside that closed Bible and open up and look at where my finger was, and there was Psalm 86, and that I gave that to the bishop, and then I call. I had a telephone in the room, so I call up the church and I say that I told him about that God had coming and speak to me, and he say I should go to your church. I say to him, because that was the finger that God gave me. It could be whatever name of churches. It could be maybe not the church. It could be another place, but that was that church. And the bishop say to me that God doesn't. He was a black man. God doesn't talk to women. God doesn't talk to women. And he said, and I say, but he was talking in the night with me. He come here and say, and then the bishop said, why should he want to be you to go to my church, be in my church? My church is a small church. We are about 15 people in my church, he say. And then it was like God come out from me. That happened a few times, but this time he did it. God come out, and I don't know exactly what God was saying, but it was about the size of the church, and God was going angry at him because it's not dependent on what size there is of the church. It's what inside the church, inside the people, what's inside their heart. The heart to help people in need. And that maybe there is, if I should have gone to a big church, I maybe not could have talked to the bishop, because that was, they did in many churches, that I was not allowed to speak to the church leaders in many churches, because I was in 90% were I in black churches. So that was like close to for me in many churches. I don't say all churches, but many churches was the white woman. She think she can talk to the bishop or whatever the church leader was, and I didn't. I couldn't talk to them. So it could have been, if I should go in my own will to a church, then I should have gone to a church in Franklin, and of course it should be a big church that I could see. And there I don't even could speak to that bishop, or he didn't want to do it either. So the bishop be frightened when God was talking to him. So he say that I send you a car, and they come and get me, and I come to a very beautiful small church, and in that church it was those black people that is really black, that is blue black. It's not dark brown. There is skin color that is black, and this was really black people, and I was so white compared to them when I walk into the church. But I could go to the bishop, go to his office, and then I gave him the Psalm 86 that God have sent me to give him. And that is just a perfect Bible chapter that fit in me in that time, that I was poor. You can be poor in money. You can look poor, but you can be holy for God. You can be God's child. It have nothing with outside to do, how much money you have or how you look like. You maybe have many tattoos on your skin, and that's a no in the church. In many churches is it very no to have tattoos, and but they don't know. They only see that you have lots of tattoos. Have been a criminal person. He's a criminal person. They don't know your heart, but God knows. So it have nothing with that to do. But as God was talking to this bishop, really in anger, that he say, why should God pick a small church like ours? Like God need to have big churches for to speak in. That's a lie from the devil, because small. I have been the smallest church, like church. I have been in there where the Spirit was going around. It was in the homeless shelter when we sit and eat lunch. We got lunch there, and we have Bible studies, and it was very, very much spirit in these Bible studies. I love them, and no of the church leaders came to do the Bible studies, so we homeless people have to do it our own on our own, and the church only sends some person that have nothing with the leadership to do to us to give us those Bibles to study in, and then we take over, and I was singing sometimes, and I was preaching there also, and it was very nice. We were about 10 people, so it had nothing with size to do. There is many churches where people is coming for to do the clubs, knowing what's going on, have the newspaper there telling them what's going on in rumors in the church, and there is a dating place also in the churches. So those big churches doesn't need to be so holy. So God was sending me to that church that He knew I should get help, and I get help. The bishop come out and do the service, and he took a gold plate, and then he said that Eve, she needs help, so he gave $25 in a plate, and then he said that everyone else should give me some money, and that money I got on that Sunday morning, it helped me to stay in the hotel for 1 week. So and it was a reason why I should get those money. God gave me that money because I should be there when this Spanish speaking man was in the room on the side of me, and I did help him to survive. He should have died if I have not been on the side of his room, and I was waiting. That was the last day, and I was sitting outside the hotel and waiting for the transportation from a woman that should take me to a homeless shelter. And when I sit outside, there come a man, and he is in a very bad shape. He was not. I saw that he had not drinking nor drugs. You don't. It's hard to see if they're done. But he started to talk to me, and he said that he had been in a car accident. He said to me, and then he said I should look at it, and I put me down and look close to his legs, and saw how it was blue. It was very bad, the legs, and when and he said also to me that he was scared to go home because he had stolen his brother's car, he say. And then I talk a little short about it. I have done talk about it in another episode here. But then the woman come and I say to this woman, this man, he needs to go to the hospital. I said, you need to take him. You don't need to take me. Take him instead of me. I say to her, it's only, if he's not coming to the hospital today, he will be dead. I say to her. And she took both of us with her in a car, and then she drive home to her home, and then she called the hospital, and she called her husband because her husband could speak Spanish. So, and this woman had asked me, do you know Spanish? And I said, no, I can't Spanish. And because he was talking Spanish the whole time, this man. And her husband couldn't understand the Spanish this man was talking. And then we wait for, in the hospital, they try to find someone that had the same dialect, Spanish dialect. And then it's come a woman that could speak to this man. And he told this nurse the same thing he have told me. And this woman that have taken us home, she looked at me very surprised, and she say that he's telling the same thing to her that you say he was telling you the same story. But you couldn't speak Spanish, she said to me. I said, no, I can't speak Spanish. She was very confused, but it was I heard him. I heard him in the spirit, what he was saying. I know some few words, but those Spanish words is from before I knew God. I know some Spanish in tourist Spanish when I sit on the bar. Caballero, and la nota por favor, like that. I didn't know what he was talking about, but the spirit knew it. And that happened a few times also when I was homeless in the United States. But that's what I wanted to tell you about. It have nothing with the size to do of that those people that go with the flow, to go with a big group and believe the same thing as them because they are many. They are so total wrong. And in the Bible it says about the little flock. God's flock is not the big flock. It's the small flock. And I hope that we, all of you that is my listener, can be inside a little flock, God's flock, and not in the big, following Jesus as God. And it's not about the size. It's not about the gender. It's not about how much money someone have. It's have nothing about the titles of people. I can say many things that this is not God in it. It's something made of man here on earth. So that's what I'm talking about. You can find the real pearl, the gold nugget inside a few people in something small. That's what I wanted to tell you for this day. Thank you for listening.